Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of FNL Gridiron. Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. We begin tonight with some sad news that has rocked and stunned the Friday Night Lights New Hampshire community, the sudden, unexpected, and untimely death of our friend and FNLNH cameraman Craig Incardoni. Craig passed away this past Sunday, leaving behind a multitude of friends and family on two coasts, an impressive body of work encompassing still photography, videography, and filmmaking. It was our good fortune here at Friday Night Lights New Hampshire to encounter Craig shortly after he moved to New Hampshire from California 2 years ago. We were seeking to add to our team, and with a second cameraman, the addition of Craig was, as they say, a no-brainer. Joining veteran FNL cameraman John Barron, the two quickly became what we nicknamed the two-headed monster, elevating our football, basketball, and lacrosse broadcasts to the next level with their ability to optimize state-of-the-art equipment using their technical knowledge and professional skills. While Craig's professional legacy is admirable, extensive, and perhaps unmatched, it is Craig the person that we will miss most here at Friday Night Lights New Hampshire. A team player in the truest sense, Craig possessed a work ethic that motivated him to treat every broadcast as if it was the most important one yet. Arriving early and staying late was a part of his DNA. To this end, Craig would do whatever he could to assist anyone on the team, always seeking to ease the workload or offer a helping hand, suggestion, or a supportive word. Each of us here has been on the receiving end of Craig's brand of kindness. He was our friend. Craig will be greatly missed by everyone at Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, and moving forward, we will remember his time with us and draw on it as a source of influence and inspiration. We keep the Incardoni family in our thoughts and prayers during these difficult days and in the time to come. Steve, obviously a devastating blow for us here at the Friday Night Lights New Hampshire family.
Just shocking. He passed away on Sunday, and we received a call and realized that we lost this wonderful man. I remember the first time that we met with him in Papagino's and talked with him. His brightness, his spirit, you could just see what a creative person that he was. And it wasn't just sports broadcasting that this man did. He did nature photography. What a photographer! He affectionately became known within the FNLNH staff as B-roll, because his B-roll before every event that he did, as Nick so well stated, was just done with precision, with heart, with passion, and excellence. I'm going to miss him mostly personally. The way that he treated everybody on our staff was exemplary, and he is a first-class human being. And I agree, Nick, at Friday Night Lights, no matter how many broadcasters, whether it's a 500 or 10,000, he is going to remain with us. I've never seen a person that had such an impact in such a short period of time on our staff. There he is there, and just showed everyone how to be excellent at broadcasting. We owe him a lot. I'll never forget him the rest of my life.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Craig Incardoni. And again, we here at Friday Night Lights New Hampshire will try to move forward the best we can tonight with his spirit in mind. With that being said, we do have another great show, meanwhile, ready for you. Roger Brown, of course, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report and the senior staff writer over at the New Hampshire Union Leader, a regular basically here on FNL Gridiron. He'll join us in about 15 minutes or so to catch everybody up after, 6 weeks in the NHIAA landscape. We'll have Roger a little longer tonight, maybe 20, 25 minutes. Then at 6:45, Bill Ball returns, the longtime Exeter head coach / athletic director, trying to find a way to snap a 2-game losing skid. We're going to see the Blue Hawks right here live on Friday Night Lights New Hampshire tomorrow night when they take on conference and Seacoast rival Dover in Dover. That game, by the way, kicks off at 7 o'clock. Then tonight at 7 o'clock, hour number 2, John Tricciani Jr., the Bishop Girton head coach, returns for a second straight week as BG looks to shake off a defeat last weekend on the road at Londonderry. And then rounding out the show is Zach Matthews. We talked to him way back at the start of the year. Bedford took an opening night loss. Well, they haven't lost since that defeat to Nashua North. They've won 5 in a row, and they are rolling. Coach Matthews, getting his troops ready to go to battle Saturday night here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, in Nashua at BG. So again, the lineup tonight here on FNL Gridiron: Roger Brown at 6:15, Bill Ball at 6:45, John Tricciani Jr. at 7, and then Zach Matthews at 7:15. All right, let's look back, as we usually do, to last weekend here as we set the stage coming up for week number 7. Week 6 scores, as you saw here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, number 1 versus number 2 in the New Hampshire Union Leader Power Poll. Londonderry, the defending Division I champions, still undefeated against in-state competition following an impressive 17-point victory on Friday night on their home field. We were there. Of course, that game is up in its entirety on our video section on our YouTube channel. But Londonderry, again, unanimous top spot in the poll at number 1, and they'll take on Alvern tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Nashua North, meanwhile, they're 5-0. Their game against Alvern was canceled as the Bronco family continues to deal with the fallout of a tragedy there. So good for them to get, I think, back on the field tomorrow night. Same thing with North. They're going to be tested at Merrimack, who received a vote, by the way, this week in the power poll, but didn't quite crack the top 10. Merrimack, though, 4-2 overall. North trying to stay unbeaten at 5-0. At number 3 comes in BG. Yes, they lost last week. That's their only loss of the season. Trying to go 6-1 Saturday night here on the air with us against Bedford. Number 4 is Timberlane. They're 5-1 and look to take on Spalding. Spalding is now dropped 2 straight. Bedford, we mentioned, winners of 5 in a row. They're in the top 5 for the first time this season in the poll at 5-1, again on the road against the Cardinals Saturday night. Pinkerton, 5-1. They'll renew an old rivalry this weekend against Brockton. That, for years, Steve, as you know, was a great Massachusetts-New Hampshire rivalry rekindled after nearly a decade. Pinkerton at Brockton Saturday at 1 o'clock. Concord, 5-1. They've won 5 straight. They'll test their luck on the road at Salem Saturday at 1 o'clock. Exeter, we mentioned, we'll see them tomorrow night in Dover. They're 4-2 following a 20-10 defeat against Bedford. That game against Dover again tomorrow night at 7. Souhegan, still the lone Division II team in the poll, 6-0. No problem over the weekend with Hanover, 28-6. They're at longtime rival Hollis Brookline Friday at 7. And finally, Steve, Wyndham, still in the top 10. We saw them on Saturday.
Yep.
They held off Memorial 20-7. They're now 4-2 overall. They'll face the other Division I Manchester team, Manchester Central, at Gill Stadium tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Certainly appears to me, Nick, as though Londonderry is just kind of isolating itself on the top with that big win on Friday night. I think this BG Bedford battle on Saturday night is going to be a humdinger, and I really believe that this is an opportunity for Bedford to say to really make a statement, or BG make a statement that, hey, we never should have left number 2 spot. North worked their way up into second. But how are you going to argue with that? They ultimately will play each other, I believe, the weekend following that.
Week 8 coming up.
Week 8. So we've got the games with the head-on-head matchup on the 1, 2, 3 column that we need. But the teams that really are very interesting are Concord, Pinkerton, Timberlane, those 3 teams in particular, and of course Bedford. But Bedford's going to have an opportunity to go up against one of the top teams, and whether they elevate themselves up, we're going to see. Bedford's defense is incredible. You break down that game on Saturday night, and there's so many different variations that could come out of that. It's really going to be about individual matchups, health, who's healthy, who's managing their depth, and this is a big game for Danny Black as well, because he's just been proving himself every single week and growing, and this is a marquee event that he can do. One last point, Wyndham and Memorial. 20-7, yes, but Memorial showed me a lot the other night. Their quarterback really impressed me. The whole team impressed me. If you're going to play Memorial, you better expect to play 48 minutes, because they played 48 minutes hard against Jack Burns' team. But Jack Burns' team looked great when they really needed to get it done. They did. They're a team that deserves, in my mind, to absolutely be in the top 10. Pinkerton, last point. defense, defense, defense. And when you look at their points, 4 points against, Pinkerton's back on a roll. They belong in that same group with Concord. Pinkerton's going to play Concord. We just got some great matches. We knew this was going to happen, and it's really gelling very nicely.
Right. 3 weeks to go in the regular season. As Steve alluded to, a lot of consequential head-to-head matchups coming up with some of these power teams squaring off against one another. So what I found interesting, you've got 7 teams in Division I with 5 wins.
Yep.
Which I think signifies that, yes, Londonderry is the team to beat, but I think there's a little more parity than we've seen, not just in comparison to last year, but really with the last few. This deep into the season, you've got, again, 7 teams in Division I, all at 5-1 or better.
Last year at this time, it felt like there were 6 teams that were you could. Now I think there's 8, and not to rule out 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm not suggesting that at all. But when you look at the week-to-week play and the quality of play and the advancement and getting better every single week, there's 8 teams in this league right now in Division I that are something else. And I think the other thing is we just talked about, not to reiterate a third time, but this season, the way the schedule was built, I don't think it was done on purpose, but the schedule was built with just so many second half of the year head-to-heads that we've been waiting for. It just worked out that way.
Yeah, well done, I think, by the NHIAA scheduling committee. And, again, we'll keep you posted. We can try to bring you as many of the really prime-time, big-time matchups coming up over the final 3 weeks. And then we're still on the ground for the extra playoff week. Remember, there's a preliminary round coming up where basically all the other teams except the 3 conference winners will be going at it in that do-or-die playoff weekend. So quarterfinals, we'll have to wait a week as we get the preliminary round, then the quarters, then the semis, and then the championship in late November.
Exeter's dropped 2. Don't count them out of the mix either. They can rebound. Sometimes when you have these back-to-back losses, it can fire up a team, and they really find themselves they're not going to take anything for granted anymore. Right. And with Coach Ball, I'm very interested to see what he has to say tonight about where he feels his team is at and how their practices went this week, because don't count this team out. They could wind up being at the end of the dance very easily.
Yeah, again, Bill Ball coming up 6:45 here on FNL Gridiron. Hour number 2, we preview the BG Bedford matchup with Cardinal head coach John Tricciani at 7, and then Zach Matthews of Bedford at 7:15. But on the other side of the break, Roger Brown joins us, and we've got a lot to get to with the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. Of course, Roger, also the senior staff writer over there at the New Hampshire Union Leader. Friend of the show, on the other side, you are watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And do you know what the best part is? No, what? We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad, good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com.
How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here inside the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford, Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you. It's FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. We're live every Thursday night at 6 o'clock Eastern during football season. Got Bill Ball coming up, long time Exeter head football coach, also the athletic director, coming on at 6:45. Of course, we'll see Coach Ball's team in action tomorrow night here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, when Exeter takes on Dover at 7 o'clock. Hour number 2 tonight, John Tricciani Jr. of BG, then Zach Matthews of Bedford, 7 and 7:15 Eastern, respectively, as those two get their teams ready to face off against each other Saturday night at Stello Stadium. We'll have coverage of that, of course, as well, here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Joining us now is the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. He's also the senior staff writer at the New Hampshire Union Leader. Friend of the show, back on, Roger Brown. Roger, good evening.
Good evening, guys. Condolences. Sorry to hear the news.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, Roger.
Spot to be in, I understand.
Yeah, we appreciate that. It's still kind of a shock to us over here, but we're going to fight our way through it. Speaking of fighting through it, looked like the Bulldog defense and that team overall able to elevate, especially in the second half last week, and shut out Exeter in the second half. Come away with a 20-10 victory to keep the winning streak alive, now 5 straight. What were the biggest impressions that you took away from that matchup last week between the Bulldogs and Blue Hawks?
Bedford is very, very good. I saw their opener against Nashua North. They were vastly improved, particularly on offense since that game. You know, they came in with a reputation, whether it's correct or not, of just a stellar defensive team, but a team that was somewhat limited on offense, and I did not see that night. They ran it and they threw it effectively against a good Exeter defense. Probably as good a performance as I've seen this year. And they did to Exeter what the Blue Hawks usually do, which is, they took a second half kickoff, and I think they held the ball for just under 11 minutes of the third quarter.
11 minutes. I heard 9, but yeah. Wow, 11.
Yeah, no, I think it was 10 plus, I believe. I think it was under 2 minutes. And I don't know how many offensive plays Exeter ran in the second half. I'm going to guess it was 8. I'm sure, maybe give or take 1 or 2, and a couple of them were, with less than a minute to play. So it was just ball control. Exeter couldn't get them off the field. wasn't like they were just gouging them every play, but, 3rd and 10, 4th and 5 or whatever, Bedford found a way to keep possession. I thought they looked very, very good.
Specifically, the junior quarterback there, Danny Black, to Steve's point, seemingly has been able to improve and add to his game week by week as he continues to gain experience under center. Obviously, the offense was doing something right in a kind of keep-away situation, as you described there in the second half. But what were your takeaways, I guess, after watching the quarterback now get his 6th start for Bedford, Danny Black?
Yeah, he was very good. Again, that North game, he didn't really have a chance. He was under tremendous pressure. I don't know if it was the first start of his career, but, he certainly wasn't the number 1 quarterback for them last year, so maybe he got some limited time. So it's tough to gauge his performance in that game. He was Toby Brown and that crew were just all over him. But they were effective throwing and running against Exeter. Very balanced attack. Anything but one-dimensional. They ran inside, outside. And Danny was a big part of it. He had some key completions. I think there was that long drive, if I'm not mistaken, there was either a 3rd and 10 or a 4th and 10 where he completed a pass over the middle for a big gain and a first down that, kept it alive. And Bedford was losing at that point. They were losing 10-7.
10-7.
Deep into that third quarter. So, maybe we all knew they were going to be good. In my mind, they're a couple notches above what I thought they were after seeing them. And it was a road game, not an easy place to play either.
Yeah, another thing, Roger, is that, by the way, thank you for coming on the show, as always. We'll get you for an extended period of time, which we love to have. But the Danny Black, played under a larger life figure for 3 years in Michael, and for Danny to come out and do as well as he did as early as he did, I looked at that game and at Nashua North game as really the first guy's opportunity to play against. Obviously, right now we can see a very difficult, tough Nashua North team. Tough team to come out of the gate with, but he's just progressed. I think that defense, when you can count on your defense and give a developing quarterback a lot of opportunities, that's what I saw throughout the year, Roger. When you look forward, though, to the game this weekend, which is going to be a marquee matchup between BG at Stello Field against Bedford, hosting Bedford, what do you see in that game, given the loss that BG's coming out of Londonderry from last week and a big come from behind, strong finish win by Bedford? How do you think this game matches up now?
Yeah, well, it should be somewhat close to a toss-up, I would think, Steve. Two of the better teams in the state. I will say, if you had asked me this question a week ago, I would have probably picked BG without too much hesitation. And certainly there's no shame in losing to Londonderry. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I was that impressed with Bedford last week. So, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they come away with a victory. And, it's an important game because, with this new system we have in Division I, one of those teams, North, BG, or Bedford, will get the bye in the West Conference. So I'm going to say that the loser of Bedford-BG will be out of the mix. So, an important game. If Bedford wins and then BG beats North, there's a lot of things that could happen, but if you want that bye, this is clearly an important game. And it's a good matchup, I would think. It's there for both teams to win.
Looking at individually, when you bring the leaders of the team and what matchups do you think who has to have big games in that matchup coming this weekend in order for that team to be able to for lack of a better word, have their will against their opposition? Who has to have a big game in your mind?
I don't know if there's any one or two, Steve, that I would say, but it's one of those where the team's going to have to play well. Somebody's going to have to, and it's a line of scrimmage game like it always is, right? Like nobody's really moved the ball on Bedford since that first half of that North game. So the guys up front, offensive and defensive line for both teams, I think are going to be crucial. You expect a certain amount of plays from your skill position players. Again, going back to Bedford, the one player I was, went up in my mind was Colby Snow, running the ball. Ran hard, got some tough yardage. It wasn't necessarily between the tackles. He was generally taking it outside, but
Off tackle.
and then so I would say BG's got to contain him, and then BG's got its own set of weapons with Matt, a quarterback. It's one of those, if somebody can make a big play, broken play and score or something, that could be what the difference is. It's going to be a tight matchup, a good matchup.
The other game we have going on Friday night, which I'm very interested to see this matchup, always a fun. We've done these games before. Exeter at Dover. What do you see? Where is Exeter right now coming off of 2 tough losses? And how do you think they'll match up at Dover? And where is Dover at this point in time during the season, in your mind?
Good question. I can tell you Exeter's banged up. They went into that Bedford game with only one of their captains healthy, and then they lost him for the season. Now, they got plenty of good players, don't get me wrong, but, when you lose all your captains, you're not in the best of shape. So they just got to find a way, next man up type of attitude. And I don't remember the last time Exeter lost 3 in a row. It might have been back, in their first year in Division I when they had a rough go of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely got to get the train on the track, so to speak, and the goal for them is to get a home game, I would say, and they probably got to win out to do it. Dover I haven't seen, but I was surprised that they lost to Central last week in the fashion they did. They had a lead. Central starting quarterback didn't play. And, they gave up a late touchdown. I think it was 14 seconds. So, not the best mark on their resume, so to speak. I got to think they're going to be hungry to do better as well, probably angry about how they perform there. And it's not Exeter Winnicott, but it's the next notch down in terms of a Seacoast battle in a lot of ways. These Seacoast teams, they used to all be in Division II and knockheads, and I'm sure there's no love lost between the players on both teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As we look around the league, I guess, Roger, at this point, and this plays into what we talked about at the top of the show with the power poll, the fact that we've got 7 teams in Division I, all 5-1 or better, and that, of course, does not include Exeter at 4-2, who's a perennial power, and Wyndham on the rise at 4-2. You're talking 8 or 9 teams that really I think you could make a case moving forward for. Is Division I more filled with parity this year? I know we talk about that seemingly every year. We talk about it at the end of the summer, going into the year, but here we are 6 weeks in, and again, the records speak for themselves. 7 teams at 5-1 or better. How balanced is that top tier, so to speak? Londonderry and everybody else, I get that, but is this more? I guess, is this one of those years where you can make an argument that it's kind of wide open in a lot of ways with a lot of really good top-tier contenders in the mix?
Yeah, and if you think about it, Nick,
who are you watching, Roger? To Nick's point.
Concord is the team that has my attention.
Me too.
Obviously a good team. How good is still to be determined. So I don't know where they fit exactly, and we're going to find out once they play a little bit tougher competition. But you're right, Nick. I think that second tier, so to speak, of Division I teams, it's a pretty good group. Again, Concord, Exeter, all the one-loss teams, Wyndham you mentioned.
Bedford, Pinkerton, Timberland. Yep.
Yeah, all those. It does seem like that group's a little bit bigger. And think how good the league would be if like teams like Goffstown, Salem, and Winnicott were just having typical years for them. Like this is very unusual.
Wow.
Think about that. How good we'd have it. And I would agree, we had to go to a larger playoff format, but I think the magic number for Division One for playoff teams is 8 usually. I mean, that's the number. If we could get a different system, that's usually you can fill it with 8 solid teams, where 8 would at least have a chance to beat one. When you go out a little deeper than that, it gets a little. I think we weakened the field a little bit, but I understand they had to do that this year.
Well, it is a preliminary round. It's not actually a quarter, semi, or final. So it is somewhat of a preliminary, a little bit of a different tinge to it, and it does give some teams. Look at Merrimack. There are still teams in contention to try to get to a playoff game. I can see both sides of it. I see your side, Roger, generally, but I have seen more games matter this year than I think ever before, and they don't seem to matter in a meaningless way. They seem to be very meaningful to the programs that are aspiring to get better and to be part of that mix. So it's a tough one for me. I hear what you're saying, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, you got more playoff teams, Steve. So yeah, clearly there's going to be more games that matter because you've got, let's face it, we're going to end up with some 3-win teams in the playoffs. They'll be 3 and 5.
Right.
Which is, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. They've got something to play for late in the year. I'm just saying the quality, the tier system, so to speak, or level of competition, it drops a little bit generally after, say, 8 or 9.
Right.
And I'm fine with those teams being in there, but it would be a true upset, I think, if, like, say, a 13, 12, or double-digit seed wins in the first round this year.
Roger, do you think 3 is the magic number, so to speak? Is it 3 or 4 wins you think that a team needs to get to break into that playoff tournament bracket, which is 13 teams?
In there, Nick. Yeah, I think 3 will. The right 3 will get you in. I do think there's just so many teams. We got 2/3 of the division going to make the playoffs. So I think like a team like Spalding. That has 3 wins in state, I think they're going to get in even if they don't win another game. Just my guess, just looking at the schedule. I think I did it on the website, my projected field, but I think I had at least 2 teams with 3 wins in the mix in the playoffs. So if
now,
you get 4, I think you're safe, but I think some will get in with 3.
Roger, do the out-of-state games, do they count in terms of the standings and the seedings?
No, they do not count. There is one. There's a tiebreaker deep down in the list of tiebreakers where they would come into play, but in general, when you're doing the point rating, no, they don't count for selection. So Spalding, for example, has got 4 wins, but technically they have 3.
I, like you, are watching Concord. I don't know of a team that I can look at and say they have a running back, a quarterback, and a tight end that are certainly all-state, top-of-the-line players at their position, and throw that in with a tremendous offense and defensive line that's deep. And, boy, they play some good special teams play like Londonderry does as well. But the team I was going to ask you about is that everybody keeps forgetting. We kind of don't. We never forget about Brian O'Reilly and Pinkerton. Where do you make of that situation? Their defense, when they played Londonderry, just the core defense did extremely well. And Nick and I talked about that after the game. Pinkerton's going to be just fine with the defense they show. They were struggling on offense at that time and special teams, but it appears as though, again, a lot of it depends on who you play, but Pinkerton's looked pretty strong week after week after week. Do you have any idea what's going on with O'Reilly and company there?
I really don't, Steve. I haven't seen them since week 1. I know they got a backfield that's terrific.
Yeah.
And Brian, usually when he's got some backs, he's dangerous. And I don't think anybody who draws Pinkerton in the first round is going to be all that.
Going to be too happy.
Fired up, regardless of their record,
Yeah.
Frankly, they didn't look – well, I shouldn't say they didn't look good. They looked great when I saw them in the first half against Wyndham. And then Wyndham looked terrific in the second half of that game. So I think Wyndham was better than we thought at that point, and it wasn't that maybe Pinkerton wasn't as good, but I think Wyndham was stronger than maybe they were given credit for. So
Yeah. They look good for us Saturday against Memorial. They look good Saturday against Memorial. Memorial is a scrappy team. I'll tell you, they don't give up, those guys. They played 48 full minutes of football against Wyndham, and I know Coach from Wyndham would say that. Jack would say that. How could you not? One of the problems we had was that third quarter was about an hour and a half, Roger. I don't know if you heard about that. There was
penalty flags.
I'll use my line again. There was enough laundry to fill 2 washing machines in that game, just in the third quarter alone. It was, and then there was, the conferencing, which I've always been a fan of, but it just made for a really long game, and it did kind of change the complexion. I thought that actually hurt Memorial in a lot of ways because they were making some headway, and the game just slowed down like a slug, and it had a real effect. So, I don't know if you heard.
That Memorial team, Steve, they've lost 2 overtime games. You reckon
they have.
What it is, right? But they have lost 2 overtime games, and I believe another game by 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
So the ball bounces left instead of right in a couple of those games, and they're looking at 3 or 4 wins maybe at this point. So
yeah.
Point being, don't overlook them if you still got them on your schedule. They'll beat you.
What about Coach Jackson and Merrimack? Nick is. You were kind of early on. You were on Merrimack before I was. Always appreciated what Kip's done. It's been a slow, steady, healthy progression
under the radar.
Right. That they've moved. Nick picked up on it. I've just been paying so much attention to Concord like you have, but I'm wondering. We've actually thought about doing that game. We just couldn't get over there. Couldn't get into the press box. I guess they have some window problems or something over there.
Repairs,
so repairs. We couldn't get in there, but we were going to take a look at that game as well because they're kind of on the radar. What have you heard about them? Have you seen any games? What can you say about them?
Well, I think they're just typical Merrimack. They can throw it pretty good, and if you can pass the ball effectively, you can cause problems for defenses no matter what. They have North this week, right? Am I wrong about that? Or?
Yes.
Hosting North.
Yep.
All right. So I think, I think that'll tell us a lot about Merrimack.
I would agree.
If they give North a go, they'll go up. Their stock will rise, I think, in the eyes of many, even if they don't win, as long as it's a dogfight. So that'll be an interesting score. I'll be looking at for sure. Mm-hmm. I think North is another team, even though they're unbeaten, doesn't get a lot of credit. I
don't know. They're number 2 in the power poll. There's a lot of people that like North.
yeah, they're very good, and they probably like it that way. Just kind of.
I'm sure.
Doing their thing. So, a lot of good teams out there, I guess, is the bottom line.
Roger, I got one more question about the playoff situation. It comes from the back room. Our man behind the curtain, Ben Beals. With the new format, will there be reseeding in some of the later rounds if they're upsets, similar like they used to do in hockey, or is it basically once it's set, it's set?
Well, if I was a businessman, I would tell you you're going to have to subscribe to New Hampshire Football Report because I was writing that right before I came on, Nick. But
well, Ben and I already subscribed, Roger. So Ben and I already subscribed, so we're good.
That's right. I will cut your break. There's no reseeding. No reseeding. So if you look at it, that 8-9 game could be a couple of real good teams.
Yeah.
Right.
And the winner will play whoever's number 1, Londonderry, North. It's not like if the 13 seed upsets somebody in the first round, the number 1 seed gets to play them. They're locked. Number 1 seed is locked into playing the 8-9 winner. Just like the other NHIA tournaments. 2
Good.
versus 7-10 winner, etc. So no reseeding. I don't know if people are going to like that or not like it, but
I like it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't like reseeding, frankly. I was hoping that you would give the answer that you did.
Hey, before you go, I got one quickie.
Yep.
Roger, regular season games, as we look forward, every regular season game in Division I, for example, or Division II, or Division III for that matter, what game It doesn't necessarily have to be the number one team or whatever. What matchup, when you see all the weeks ahead, including this weekend, all the way to the close of the regular season, what matchup are you looking to see? What game?
Well, we give Division I a lot of attention, but I think the Sauhegan-Pelham game, which I believe is next week in Division II.
It's going to be a war.
Yeah, that one's going to be very, very interesting. The big ones in the lower divisions, 3 and 4, have already been played. So
Right.
So I'd go with that one, the Sauhegan-Pelham one, and then
what about D1?
Like we mentioned, the Bedford BG one, but I think BG North is another one that stands out to me. So, those three.
I got one for you.
Those three are.
And this is one that Ben and I have talked about multiple times, and it's Pinkerton at Concord. That game, from a matchup standpoint, is a game I really want to see because
a lot of similarities.
I think at Pinkerton. Concord at Pinkerton on the turf. Been very impressed with Coach O'Reilly for years. Followed him for years. The coaching on both of those teams is outstanding, and they got some great talent. I think it's going to be an incredible matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing that game. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that one could be, the team that wins gets a home game, and the team that doesn't.
Correct.
Doesn't,
Right. They could have a lane right to.
They'll be playing for something there for sure.
For something there, exactly. I agree.
Roger, where are you tomorrow night? In Exeter with us, or in Dover with us?
I'm with you guys. Yes, in Dover.
Beautiful. What about Saturday?
I got to head to Dartmouth. UNH at Dartmouth on Saturday.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, should be a good one.
Oh, that should be.
Appreciate it.
That should be.
Roger, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow night, and thanks again for your time tonight.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much for having me.
See you tomorrow night.
Thank you. And again, Roger Brown, friend of the program, founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, and, of course, senior staff writer over at the New Hampshire Union Leader.
Yeah, Roger does so much more than that, though. He is instrumental in really giving a showcase, as so many, New Hampshire Sports Page, Joe Marshallina, but Roger's right there in the front and center of as kind of an analyst in the sense that when you read his material, I've seen him as far as some of the predictions or the kind of the perspectives that he has really works out. He goes underneath and really goes deep in what's happening with specific programs, especially towards the end of the year when he's been able to see most of the teams. It's fantastic stuff. He also is involved in camp, very much involved in player development and trying to get exposure for New Hampshire players.
Yeah.
There's so many other organizations are as well, but Roger's right at the front of the line.
Not to mention his NCAA coverage. He
Absolutely.
mentioned Dartmouth, UNH.
Yep.
Involved in the Heisman voting, so he's everywhere, especially now during the fall, during football season.
And all on the New Hampshire Football, which is a subscription, very reasonable, get a lot of material on it.
NHFootballReport.com.
NHFootballReport.com. Yep.
Is, again,
so
the
much
website.
good press in the state, doing a terrific job right across the board.
Yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it for sure. All right, coming up on the other side, Bill Ball of Exeter. Blue Hawks, very rarely do they lose 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Looking to get back on the winning track tomorrow night. We'll ask
I don't
Coach
remember
how he
that.
plans to do that.
I don't remember that.
We'll ask Coach that next when we come back here on FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And you know what the best part is? No, what? We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad, good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. We're live in the Beals Insurance studios here in Bedford every Thursday night, 6 o'clock during football season. If you miss any part of the show, don't worry. The shows in their entirety are posted on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media, under the video section. Again, Friday Night Lights New Hampshire on YouTube at FNLNH Media. You catch our long chat with Roger Brown of the New Hampshire Union Leader. Don't worry. Coming up at 7, about 10 minutes or so from now, John Tricciani Jr., the Cardinals head coach, returns to help preview their matchup with the Bedford Bulldogs. Speaking of the Bulldogs, Bedford head coach Zach Matthews helps close down the show at 7:15. But joining us right now on the phone is Bill Ball, longtime Exeter head coach and athletic director. Coach, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, guys. Doing well.
We appreciate you coming on. What's the feeling like over there after, first of all, a 4-0 start and then 2 back-to-back weeks? Is this maybe an opportunity for your coaching staff to kind of hit the reset button and give your team a jolt going into a big conference game tomorrow night in Dover?
Yeah, we've been doing some shuffling with personnel because of different situations, and I think defensively is the area that I was most concerned with after Timberlane, and I would say the same thing after Bedford. And again, two very fine football teams. I mean, Timberlane, quarterback-driven, really good offensive line. Bedford, fast, very fast. Everybody can run. Guards can run. Tackles can run. Tight ends can run. So, we're looking to get back defensively, I think, to being more fundamental and from the second level back. So that's the challenge.
How do you handle that as a staff, Coach? I know it's kind of a fine line, both from a motivational standpoint and a preparation standpoint, but coming off of a loss over your now 30 years of doing this, do you do anything differently that week in practice? How do you approach it?
I think it's a good question. Yeah, there's a sense of urgency. There's no question. It's when you lose it does expose some things that you have to get better at, and there's more emphasis on. I would say that we had a little bit more jump this week. But then again, it's all about execution. So it can't be all emotion. It's about gap control, block destruction, run into the football. That's what it's about, and that's where we have to get better.
Coach, one of the things that happens in the lovely state of New Hampshire, which we all know and love, is the weather gets colder, tends to get a little rainier, tends to get a little nasty, and I've always felt that the Coach Ball, Coach O'Reilly, I'll even throw in the old Coach Chuck Lenahan, seem to shine at this time of year. Do you welcome the northern New England weather coming, given the game plan, especially offensively, that you have to be able to use the advantages of having a very prolific offensive line and a good running attack and a running concept and play actioning periodically out of that? Do you, as you look forward and you see this weather coming, do you kind of smile without telling anybody, or share that with us?
No, I look at it as it's an offense built for November.
Amen to that.
And I think those three programs have proved that has been built for November. But it also comes down to execution, and that's where we really have to be keen about is communication up front, people moving on defense, things like that. But we don't. We practice today, and we don't. It doesn't faze us. It's just it's football.
Yep.
People call it an all-weather offense. I would agree with that. But it's football in New England. That's what it is. It's not Florida. It's New England.
When you look forward to the game tomorrow night, and we will be there, look forward to it in Dover. We've seen you guys there with Dover and had some matchups over the last few years, and it's always been a great experience for us covering it. When you look at Dover, what do you see with them that you're going to have to either be careful of, and then what part of your game do you feel you guys have to? Obviously, you want to execute everything well, but what particular phase or part of your offense, defense, or special teams do you think has to play well against Dover?
Yeah, I think defensively, I'm very impressed with the Auburn kid, the junior quarterback.
Yep.
He's a run-pass threat. He's a guy that'll put his shoulder down and not go out of bounds. He'll throw late, so you got to stay in coverage. If you don't stay in coverage, you'll be exposed. He's got great feet in the pocket. It starts with him. Then you get McGinnis, a running back, who's a junior running back that's real good. Didn't play last week, but fully expect him to be out there this week. And Davis on the edge, as kind of a slot back, who's been a 4-year starter. He's real good, and I've been real impressed with their their flex tight end, Cottonmill, really good player, number 11. So they get a bunch of guys. It all starts with Auburn at quarterback.
Yep.
Be able to get the ball to the right people at the right time. So that's the key for us, is to be aware of the playmakers, be able to make plays, and try to keep Auburn somewhat in check. He's a very good athlete.
You mentioned execution on your team, I think at least 3 or 4 times. So obviously that's been something you've been working on, obviously throughout the week. What in particular, as far as an execution that you're comfortable sharing with us, what part of the team, execution-wise, are you really focusing on improving to make a difference coming up this week, Coach?
Yeah, I'm looking for us to be better on the edge and the second level on defense. Like all teams, we're a gap control team, and we run the ball, and that's what we've done well for a long time. And we've gotten away a little bit from that, and we've gone basically right back to basics. I mean, back to August 12th, and with our fundamentals, and that's where you want to lose. At the end of the day, you look at the tape. You know, what arm did he fill with? Did he keep his outside arm free? Did he have his right read? Did he not read? Was he looking in the backfield?
Yeah.
Peeking in the backfield when he shouldn't be peeking in the backfield? Those things.
Mental. Yeah, mental things. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that we had Nick and I had a great opportunity to speak with Roger Brown about was this new playoff picture that we're in this year. Here we are towards the middle, or past the middle of the season. You've been doing this for decades, Coach. What are your thoughts that you're willing to share with us about where we are right now with the fact that 13 teams? I'm seeing some pluses, and then, I'm kind of a traditionalist with less teams make the playoffs. Not everybody gets a trophy, so to speak. What are your thoughts on where it's gone right now? Because there seems to be a lot of exciting games coming up because of it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think from my personal thoughts, and then I have my professional thoughts too. I mean, on a professional level, there are more teams involved, and we did have a situation in Division I where we had an odd number of teams, so we had to expand. And I was a part of that.
Yep.
But it's great to see teams, week 7, still trying to find their way into the playoffs.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I will admit that I am a traditionalist. I enjoy the old format much better, but I understand why this happened. I think it's good for high school football. It was what we had to do, and I think we're making the best of that situation.
Well, Coach, good luck tomorrow night. We'll be there up in the press box in Dover, and good luck. Thanks again for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Good luck tomorrow night, Coach.
Take care, guys. Always good talking to you.
Same here.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. That again, Bill Ball, longtime head coach at Exeter. They square off in Dover. Big game in D1 East. That's a 7 o'clock kick tomorrow night. We're on the air at 6:45. Coming up on the other side, John Tricciani Jr. of Bishop Girton joins us. He's got to get ready for Bedford and a red-hot Bulldog team coming into Stello Stadium on Saturday night. That's a 6 o'clock kick. Our coverage Saturday begins at 5:45. Coach Trish, next. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And you know what the best part is?
No, what?
We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad. Good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit newhampshiretomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Hour number 2 here on FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Nick and Astis, Steve Beals here from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. Got Zach Matthews coming up at 7:15, the Bedford head coach. Bulldogs and Cardinals, Bedford at BG, Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Our coverage here at Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire for that game begins at 5:45. Cardinals trying to rebound from their first loss of the season. Joining us now is their head coach, John Tricciani Jr., back for a second straight week here on FNL Gridiron. Coach, good evening.
Man cave.
Coach, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
We're good. I guess we'll start with last week. I don't want to dwell on that. We want to look forward, obviously. But what can you take away? What did you and your staff take away this week from the defeat back on Friday against Londonderry?
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think it's a long season. I think that's what you're learning. I think each week presents its own challenges. I think that we started off real strong, and now we're hitting a part of the schedule where, you're playing some pretty good football teams. We're having some issues with some injuries. I think taken away from the last game is probably just missed opportunities. I think there were some play calls that got away from me a little bit early in that game, and there's some missed opportunities down in the red zone where you got a chance to potentially take a lead there in the first half. And then second half it's a lot of turnovers. So the game kind of got away, and it's trying to learn some lessons and at the same time move on to the next week the best you can.
Coach, you mentioned injuries. How healthy is your squad going into Saturday?
When I think of the guys that are out, it looks like an all-conference team to me.
Yeah.
So it's not good.
All right. So some of your bigger players for sure.
Yep.
How do you respond to that? I mean, how do you get their backups, so to speak, ready? How do you enforce that kind of next man up mentality?
Yeah, you just got to coach the kids that are there the best that you can, and then each coach has really just got to try to concentrate on their position group and try to get guys ready the best that we know how. And, it's great opportunities each week for kids to potentially step up. And, you get to see what they have, not just, from an execution standpoint, but from a toughness standpoint. I think it's a challenge for everybody involved. And, unfortunately, it's part of the game too. Guys are going to get hurt. I think one of the concerns that I have right now is looking at it, are the adults failing the kids a little bit is kind of one of the concerns that I have. These kids get hurt, and then can we get them the treatment needed? Can we diagnose them? Can we get them a plan to get back on the field? And I think that's where some of the people right now are getting a little discouraged. We're just trying to get these kids healthy and get them back, and hopefully we can sooner than later.
Obviously, it's a tough situation to deal with at any level, injuries for sure. But then you take a look at a team like Bedford who's coming in red hot, and as you mentioned, this may be the toughest portion of the schedule these couple of weeks here. Do you adjust the game plan at all based on who's available, based on the personnel that's available? I know adjustments are a week in and week out thing anyway, but with injuries sprinkled on top of that, how do you adjust from a preparation/game plan perspective?
Yeah, for sure. I think even going back to last week, a couple guys go down throughout the game, and you're always trying to plan for worst case scenario. But when that happens, you're losing some of the playbook, offensively and defensively. And your special teams are kind of taking a hit too. So, trying to get the guys in there to get as many reps that are going to have to see the field this week, and then we're trying to make sure you're at least 2 deep at each position. So, I think worst case scenario, you never want to put a kid on the field that's in a spot where he hasn't got reps that week. And then as we kind of figure that out, we're shuffling some guys around. So there's times where, you may see a different guy in practice getting reps at quarterback, a different guy at running back, some receivers playing outside and inside. This week, I think defensively, we're taking a defensive end and putting them at linebacker. And, you're just trying to find the puzzle, the best way to put it together, and then, hope that you can put these kids in a position to succeed. But yeah, it changes a lot each week, who's available, who's not available. And then you're trying to find, hey, what's our strength this week, and try to execute and figure out, how to win.
Hi, Coach. I reviewed that game, and then I want to move on to the game ahead. I had a quick question. Closing out, you were down in the red zone, and Matt came out, and then your assistant quarterback came in. Was there a temporary injury? Was there a helmet off? Was there obviously, if you can't share that, totally understood. But was there something? Because we looked out, and it wasn't Matt that was in the game.
Yeah.
And by the way, your backup quarterback looked good at the end of the game. He's a game little fella out there, not little. Yeah, he's a game player. You look good.
Yeah, he's a good kid, and he works hard. He throws the ball real well.
And he's smart.
Yeah, Matt came out at the end. It might have been the end of the first quarter, where I think right down at the 5 or inside the 5, and he ran the ball on a 3rd down.
That's it. Critical time of the game.
Yeah, worst case scenario. The helmet came off.
That's what it was. Okay.
So even though it was the end of the quarter, and I burned a timeout, which hurt us later in the half too, and Matt came to the sideline, and he's got a cut across his nose. Again, I can't tell you how tough the kid is enough, right?
Oh, yeah.
And by rule, there was some question as how the helmet did come off in that regard. But, it's a rule to try to keep the kids safe. And unfortunately, it just came at a bad time.
Okay. Looking forward to – thank you for that, because I asked a few people. We thought that, but we weren't sure. I'll shout out one more time for is it McLaughlin, right?
McDonough is the backup.
McDonough. He seemed like a very heady young man and very comfortable when he went in there, and a tough kid. It's good to always see a new guy coming up because Matt's a senior. It was fun to watch him and watch those guys go in the game. Looking forward into this week, Bedford's got a great defensive linebacker core. But before we even get to their offense, how do you see them? How do you attack them? What do you need to do differently? How good is this team? They certainly look awful good from what I've seen. How do you exploit that linebacker core? How do you seal them off, wall them off? What do you do against Bedford to get to gain yardage, just in general?
Yeah, you got to hold on to the football. We definitely got to win the time of possession. Got to try to execute the best that we can up front with those blocking assignments, trying to stay on blocks. We're not going to win every matchup, every play. So just trying to do the best we can, try to hope to be as tough as possible. They're very fast, so can you run the ball? We're going to try to do what we do best. And then, do you have to look at some quick game stuff? Do you got to kind of try to roll out? Do you get on the edge? It's just going to be a matter of how they're lined up and can we execute? It's definitely going to be a challenge. On film, they're extremely fast and physical. It's actually quite similar in a lot of ways to what I thought I saw on film from Londonderry on defense.
Yeah.
So I think the two of those teams would be a very interesting matchup with the team speed and the physicality. They're both very well coached. So it's not going to be easy from an offensive standpoint for us whatsoever.
There seems to be an incredible amount of similarity between Bedford, Londonderry. They all have their own mix, but Bedford, Londonderry, and I feel Souhegan you can throw in that mix as well. They run around with that same intensity. They're not necessarily big, but they make it up with their speed, and they're very, very effective. One of the things I noticed during the game, and again, what do I know? I'm sitting up there, color guy, and you guys have got to actually coach the team and make it happen. So I want to be honest and real upfront about that. But I'm supposed to be an analyst, and Nick pays me to do it. So what the heck? I got to make a point. One thing I did notice is when Matt Sandersuazo rolls out to his strong side, just great things continually happen for Bishop Girton offensively. I don't know if you could see that in the game, but even against Londonderry, you guys, every time he rolled out in the power side, especially when he had the wide end of the field, he was able to use his skills at a very, very high level. That jab step he's got, and to be able to change direction is incredible. Did you see that, or am I just full of hooey?
Yeah, there's always something there. We're trying to find out every week when we play a team, can we get the edge? Are we better off running to the field, or do we have numbers going into the boundary? You're trying to do things, formations, and then Matt, can we roll him out? Can we get him where he's a threat to run or pass on a play? And he's got a lot of real raw athleticism. So sometimes you don't really want to overcoach him too. Sometimes we use the term see space, take space. He's just so natural with a lot of things that he does. And then, too, throughout that Londonderry game and games that we see, too, when he has a lot of success, other guys are playing really well around him, And then sometimes, too, it's the quarterback spot, right? If the pass doesn't, the pass play doesn't go well or the run play doesn't go well, sometimes we may be missing a block. Sometimes the receivers might be running the wrong route. So, it's all encompassing, but when, all 11 guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, Matt, I think, can really showcase his talents.
Yeah, special teams, you've got a heck of a kicker there. He boomed a couple punts. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody signs him up at the end of the year. Also, very smart kicker, and it seems like a weapon you can use. Special teams with the top echelon teams this year have really impressed me. I thought you guys have a lot to be proud of on the special teams on that phase of the game. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, we try the best we can, and obviously when it comes to depth, I spent 45 minutes today during school where I'm trying to figure out the special teams depth chart. I don't know if anybody sees those kind of situations, but our punter right now has been Jacob Baker, who's punted since he's been a freshman, and he's probably our best defensive player. And he can boot the ball for sure.
Wow.
And try to do some stuff where he's trying to directionally kick the thing close.
He does fantastic.
So we're trying to limit a return, and those are really important things in the punt game when you're playing a Londonderry or you're playing Bedford, who they have some real speed guys back there. And any good coach will tell you, you got to try to win those special teams battles and field position, and it's all really, really important parts of football.
Yeah.
Coach, we appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Good luck on Saturday. We'll be there. And thanks again for coming on tonight.
Get healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a pleasure. I always love talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
Same
We
here.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
John Tricciani Jr. in his 5th season now on the sidelines at Bishop Girton. He'll be out there Saturday night against a red-hot Bedford Bulldog team. Bedford has won 6 straight. BG won 5 in a row before they lost on Friday night. 2 of the best teams in Division I going at it Saturday night at 6. We're on the air at 5:45. Our final guest is Bedford head coach Zach Matthews, and he's on the other side. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Hey, I'm Chad, the owner of New Hampshire iPhone Repair. We're New Hampshire's most trusted and affordable repair shop for your iPhone, iPad, iPod, and even Android needs. Don't worry, we're affordable, reliable, and we back our parts with a lifetime warranty. And you know what the best part is? No, what? We can repair your phone while you wait.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Green. Here's your iPad, good as new. Bring your phone into New Hampshire iPhone Repair today.
The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Final segment here of FNL Gridiron. Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. We're presented, of course, by Beals Insurance, and we're live every Thursday night at 6 o'clock Eastern during football season. We've got Exeter at Dover tomorrow night. That's a 7 o'clock kick here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Our coverage begins at 6:45, and then second game of the weekend comes your way Saturday night from Stellos Stadium in Nashua as Bedford and BG collide at 6 o'clock Eastern. Joining us now is Zach Matthews, Bedford head coach. Bulldogs, after losing in week 1, have been riding high ever since, winners of 5-0. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Doing well. Good to see you guys.
We appreciate you
Good
coming
to see you,
on.
Coach.
Take us through the last 5 weeks during this win streak, Coach. I mean, obviously the season didn't begin in the fashion that you had hoped for, although you did shut out Nashua North in the second half in that week 1 loss. But really your team has been high flying ever since. What has been the key in your mind to the 5-game win streak?
Yeah, I think when you look back to week 1, it feels like an eternity ago, and I think that when you look at the growth that this team has shown, I can't say enough about our kids and their ability to just improve week in and week out. And so from where we started this journey to where we are now, like I said, it feels like so long ago because each and every week, we face some different challenges and our kids have found a way to just improve, to address some of the things that maybe we're not doing well or not executing to the top of our abilities. And this group every single day just comes to work at practice. And I think, a win streak like this goes back to the practice field. These guys show up with the same attitude each and every day, and that's just to try to get better. And I think that's refreshing. I don't know if we've always had that same attitude with our kids on the practice field, but I think this year this group of senior leaders is really pushing their peers to bring energy on the practice field, and I think we're seeing that result in the games.
You kind of answered my next question in terms of the players kind of taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, really accepting the challenge, especially with an 0-1 start. Do you feel your group overall, not just the seniors, but from top down, starting to gain some confidence over the last month or so as each win is accomplished week in and week out?
I definitely think there's a confidence in our team right now, and I think that starts on the defensive side of the ball. And I think sometimes, a lot of people would look at that loss as a negative, and obviously you never want to lose football games, but it was a tremendous learning experience, and I think it was a reality check for our players. You come in with expectations for a season, and you face a really good Nashua North team, and they get all over you, and you have that loss, and it forces you to kind of look in the mirror and say, okay, are we the team we think we are? Am I the player I think I am? And I think right now we've had a couple tests. Going over to Maine, playing at Thornton Academy was a great chance for us to test ourselves. Last week was another really good test. Obviously, we're very familiar with the Exeter football program, and going over to their place again and playing a really tough football team, I think it ends up resulting in a lot of confidence for your kids and the belief in each other and the belief in the coaching staff and a belief in kind of the culture you've created in your program of this is what we're about. And so this group of kids has been really exciting to coach and really excited for Saturday night.
Yeah, your defense has really started to build a reputation, I think, statewide as one of the better units in Division I. But looking back to last week, yes, you got the shutout in the second half and a road win against Exeter, but it seemed like it was the offense that kept the ball away from Exeter in that second half. Tell me a little bit about this offensive unit and some of the progression that you've seen over the 5-week win streak. I know Steve's got some questions about your quarterback, but tell me about the offense overall, and was last week maybe a little bit of a turning point by dominating the time of possession like you did in the second half against Exeter?
Yeah, real quick before we get to the offense, I just want to give our defensive staff a little bit of a shout out. Our defensive coordinator, Sean Donahue, has done a fantastic job with this group of players. And, our defensive backfield coaches, Donovan Murby and Bill Berry, do an exceptional job. And so, this defense really gets in the early part of the season to find who we are currently offensively. And, we've talked about our quarterback position last year, and we were very lucky to have the player we did in the past. And you have a new team, you have kids stepping in new spots, and you kind of have to figure out a new identity. Not that we don't have core concepts and principles, but I think when you look at your core concepts and principles, you have to find, new ways to mesh some of your concepts with the kids you have now. And so I think that we've kind of gradually moved in a little bit of a different direction than we maybe were last year. And that's a result of the skill set of the kids we have around us. And, I think we definitely are groove a little bit right now. And we're certainly proud of the effort our kids put together last week in Exeter.
Coach, one of the things I've noticed this year, and, we're kind of in Friday Night Lights, we're kind of look at the reasons for so many quarterbacks playing at a pretty high level in their junior year. One of the things I saw about Danny in the, and I had said it on air, is that, he might be missing this pass, he might be making a mistake here, but he seems to make great decisions. And even in that game, he showed what capabilities that he had in that game, and then as he progressed, it's not surprising to me that he progressed throughout the season. Can you, as his coach, kind of take us through this season so far? How good is he, and what is his ceiling? Has he reached his ceiling yet, or has he still got a lot way to go? Because he just seems to be developing and growing every single week.
Yeah, I think we're just scratching the surface right now, to be honest. I mean, when you talk about a varsity quarterback, I don't think there's much of a correlation of freshman football or JV football when you talk about varsity. And so we're talking about a kid who just got over the halfway point of his first season starting as a quarterback. And so certainly Nashua North and the things that they did that first night, that was a tough start for him. And then, we start ratcheting up the confidence and kind of getting him back into a groove. And so I think we haven't got to our ceiling yet by any stretch of the imagination. And I think he's a kid who can make all the throws. Right now, the big part of the developmental process is evaluating coverages, he and I being on the same page. What are we looking to get out of certain play calls? And, that's where this process continues to evolve. And, last week was a test. Thornton Academy was a test, and this week presents a whole different set of challenges for us as well.
He looks like he's for real to me. To me, he had some of those intangible things that you could even see in that North game, especially in the second half that began to progress. He's really impressed me throughout the year, and so is your development of him. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Let's take a look at that Exeter game last week. You're down 10-7 at half. What happened in the locker room there, just in general, what you can talk about that had Bedford come out on such a tear in the second half?
Yeah, I don't think it was anything specific to halftime. We felt like we were playing good football in the first half. We had a 90-yard drive for our first scoring drive, and then we settled in and played pretty good defense. They hit a long pass play on us that, we had to adjust to. And, then there was an interception when we were trying to execute a 2-minute drill, and they got pretty good field position, and they kicked a field goal. But we still felt as a coaching staff and as a team like we were playing pretty good football. And so really it was going in at halftime and stressing, we're still able to execute the same game plan we had. It's a 3-point game, and we knew that, those 3 points weren't going to be the difference in the game. And we needed to go out and play a great second half, and that's what the kids did. We came out, and I think Exeter ran 6 plays in the second half, something along those lines. And, we really did a good job of kind of dominating the line of scrimmage, keeping the ball away from them, and making the most out of our possessions in the second half. We did miss a field goal. We drove all the way down, threw a touchdown pass. It got called back, and we ended up having a field goal attempt and missed a field goal too. So, we still felt like there was points that were left on the board that we could have taken away from that one as well, walking on the field.
Looking ahead of this week, we're really excited to be there at that game. We've been waiting for this matchup for weeks on end. BG, a little banged up, but they're still a good football team. Obviously, how do you prepare for a guy like Matt Sanasuazo defensively, Coach? He can pretty much do it all. Banged up with some other players or not, this is still a solid football team. As you look forward, what part of what phase of your game really do you see being most important of all? Offense, defense, special teams, or anything else that you can add looking forward at the BG matchup?
I think a lot of it comes down to our kids being able to handle the emotions of a game like this. When you look at a game like this, that both teams are good football programs. The reality is we have a lot of kids who have personal relationships with kids that go to Bishop Girton. In fact, we have a lot of kids that reside in the town of Bedford that go to Bishop Girton. And so when you look at that matchup for our kids, that feels really personal. And so I think a large part of that matchup is going to be our kids being able to handle the emotion of being in a Saturday night environment at Stello Stadium, and being able to handle those emotions and being able to, kind of silence some of the noise and just go about their job and, kind of do what they've done in the last 5 weeks that we've played really good football. And so I'm sure there's going to be adversity. A kid like Matt Sanasuazo, I mean, I think you're trying to, play really good football, but you can't go into a game against a fantastic athlete like that and expect to, totally shut a kid like that down. He's going to have some plays. He's going to have some special plays because he's a special athlete. So when we look at it, it's handling the ups and downs in a game like that, and being able to just try to be as consistent as we can in our execution in all three phases of the game.
Coach, leave it with just one more quick comment before I hand it back to Nick. You're in that critical fourth year as a head coach. Everybody knows when you hit your fourth year, it's all your team. It's your team. It's your players that you've had come up and develop since the freshman year, and I want to congratulate you on the job that you've done. I think, coming out of really the first half of the North game, it's just been a steady progression of fixing and improving things every week. So congratulations to you and your coaching staff, and we look forward to a marquee matchup this weekend. We just can't wait to get there. Very much looking forward. But congratulate to you in the critical fourth year. I know you're a very modest man, but it can't go without saying you've led this team with precision and with a great deal of spirit and a lot of high-level situational football acumen. So congratulations to you, and good luck in this game this weekend and throughout the year.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Everything you guys do for New Hampshire football, and the fact that we're recognizing a lot of different coaches on your program, and you guys talk to people, week in and week out, and I don't alone in the fact that a lot of us spend a lot of time obviously doing what we do, and we enjoy it very much. The opportunity for us to get to work with these young men we get to work with, I think it's something that gives us far more than we give them, in all honesty. And so I love coming to work every single day. It's a special place to be. I love working at Bedford High School, and we got a great group of young men that are part of our team.
It shows.
Yeah. We appreciate it, Coach. Good luck on Saturday. We'll be there. And thanks again for spending some time with us. I know you're busy. We appreciate it.
We do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. And again, Zach Matthews, fourth year head coach with the Bedford Bulldogs.
It's the year. I mean, every player that you have on your football team, you've developed in your fourth year,
right?
And it's really a full culmination of a culture that was some tall order to fill with Coach Stank, and he's got his own brand, his own set of coaches, assistant coaches, and his own approach every single week to a game plan. He's to be congratulated for just a terrific job
and quick to spread the love. You heard there,
in it for the right reasons,
right? Coordinator Donahue on the defensive side. Fun fact, was actually Ben's sixth grade English teacher back in the day, so contributing to your son's education directly.
I remember him well. Awful nice guy. Really took a lot of interest in the young fellas in the classroom, which
young
is
Benjamin,
so well in public education. It's so important at that middle school level to have men in the schools teaching and instructing and present, because it
balances everything out.
It balances everything out and gives them, this just no different than the ladies having role models that are ladies at them to look at. It's very important to have that in both. So,
and again, Coach Matthews, he's got the Bulldogs moving, so to speak. 5 in a row, looking for 6. They cracked the top 5 this week in our New Hampshire Leader Power Poll for the first time this season. On the other side, Bishop Girton licking their wounds after a loss at Londonderry, not quite 100%, but they'll be under the lights on their home field at Stello Stadium in Nashua in a big D1 West conference.
They need to deliver the matchups, Nick, that of the healthy varsity players that they are bringing and need to have some progression. Win or lose, it's all about how the game works out. What can you look and say, hey, we were strong in this area? What you don't want is a complete breakdown and meltdown of a situation where you have multiple phases of the game that aren't matching up.
Right.
Those are the problems. So what John's got to do is come out, with those injuries. When a coach says to you it's like an all-star team that when he looks at it that's out, or an all-conference team looks out, that's never a good sign on one side, but it also is an opportunity to build that middle link of your team and to get them out there and coach them up. And John's more than capable of doing that. So I think he's got everything in perspective of this game. And both of these coaches have earned their stripes. And I'm looking forward to a good game.
Saturday night, it's a prize fight.
It's a prize
Stadium. Friday night, it's not going to be too shabby either. That's another
I was trying to think, how they have the Thriller in Manila. I'm trying to think of the something in Stello, but I only come up with Mellow, and that just doesn't work.
I'll give you until tomorrow night.
All right, we'll think of something. We'll think of something.
How about Exeter at Dover tomorrow night to start off the weekend? Week 7 statewide. We're on the air at 6:45 with the opening kick at 7 o'clock, and then Saturday in Nashua, as Bedford and BG get it going at 6 o'clock with our coverage at 5:45. Steve, your final thoughts here.
Well, it's going to be tough doing those games. I'm being quite frank with you without Craig. Really tough. But he wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
He was a dreamer, an artist, and a creator. As I said earlier in the show, I'll never forget this man the rest of my life. Deeply appreciative of a nice conversation I had with his partner, Susan. Such a nice person. And we assured her that everybody here is going to do our very best to live up to the standard that he created. So that's one part of it. And the other part is I just want to shout out to Ben, our producer and director, the tremendous amount of work that he did last week to get all that up, and our staff, John, Matt's coming up. We've got everything in place, and we've got 2 good games potentially that we can do this weekend. So I'm excited about the rest of the year, but he'll be in my heart and all of our hearts as we move forward. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, Kristen playing a big role tomorrow night as well, part of our team trying to fill in, so we appreciate the effort across the board.
Absolutely.
Really, and again, we'll dedicate the rest of our season to the memory of our friend Craig Incardoni. For Steve and Ben Beals, I'm Nick Anastas saying so long. This has been FNL Gridiron presented by Beals Insurance.